So here are the most common resume biases. People are biased. It just you got to recognize that everyone is biased because biases just are your previous experiences, and when you read something, everyone has an angle to play. So there's always going to be bias, but here are the different types of biases out there. All right, name bias. For example, you're from India, you're applying to a tech role, and they're biased. They're going to be, oh, another Indian for a tech role or another Asian. Oh, man, we're just looking for a normal white person. Email bias is where you have an AOL or Yahoo email, and it's possible they think, oh, you have an AOL or a Hotmail, must mean you're like 50 years old. We don't want you. Or like it says, little cool dude at gmail.com, and it's not professional, so you must not be a professional person. Phone number bias is where they look at your phone number. You got a 347 number and you're in New Jersey. Oh, we don't hire people from New York. Address bias is where they don't like where you live. Either they think it's too far or they don't think the area has smart people or whatever it is. For example, I was 30 miles away from a job in New Jersey. I applied. The guy said, yeah, it's a 30-mile commute. You're not going to like it. We don't want to hire you. But when you apply to people in New York, it's an hour and a half bus ride. Everyone commutes, so yeah, it's only an hour and a half, no problem. Gender bias. This is where people don't like you because of your gender. Let's say you have a name like Taylor. Taylor could be a boy's name, it could be a girl's name, but they may want a female. Like I have a LinkedIn account as a male and a LinkedIn account as a female. The male account gets 0 interviews. People don't like him. The female gets around 2 a week. It's like one time I asked people, why am I not getting a job? And they said, well, your LinkedIn account is, people think you're a little sarcastic or whatever. So I changed it to a female name and a female picture. Within a week later, I had 3 interviews. Same exact wording. Race bias is where you have a picture on your resume or LinkedIn. They may skip over you because you're different than them. You're black, you're white, you're Indian. They may not like you for whatever the reason is. Or they can just assume your race based on your name. Education bias. This is where if they think you don't have a degree, you can't do the job. Let's say they require a master's degree or an IO psychology degree. And if you don't have a PhD in IO psychology, you have no idea what you're talking about. But hey, I can read all of the IO psychology books in a week, and I'll have the same information as them. Why can't I get a job? And by the way, a bachelor's degree only has like 3 courses that are necessary. The rest are just bogus, so what's the point of a degree anyways? School bias is where people care about where you went to school and not what you can do. Like I wrote on a resume, I went to Harvard with a T at the end. Spelled it wrong. I learned SQL, and I was testing to see if people are just searching for specific keywords. Does the word include Harvard? And yeah, Harvard has the word Harvard in it. And previously I've been saying I went to college at where I went to school. I got 0 interviews for 6 months. I wrote I went to Harvard. I got 3 the next day. Company name bias. This is where people, if you put big names, I once put in my resume, I worked at Sprint. I got calls about that. I once wrote I worked for Google New Jersey, LLC, which was a company I could buy technically, and I got a lot of interviews. Job title bias. Does your resume say sales on it, or you're a salesperson? But if you're applying for SDR roles, the recruiter is only looking for the word SDR. Or let's say they're looking for recruiting manager, recruiting director, and yours says recruiting manager. They may not like it. It shows who you are. You gotta have senior consultant for the director of the CEO. It's gotta be like that. Oive, years of experience bias. This could mean either you're overqualified, you have 20 years experience, so why would you want this job? But maybe you want the job because you want to mentor people, or, it's more relaxed. Or if you don't have enough experience, they're looking for 5+ years. Like, how do you measure years of experience? It's so unstructured. You got to say, do you know this or do you know that? But, I could do something in 2 weeks that will take some people 2 years to do. Or it could be just age bias. You got 20 years experience, must mean you're old, so therefore we only want young, hip people. Job hopping bias. Means, if you hop around, they say it's bad. You won't be able to get any jobs. But I've seen tons of LinkedIn people, 7 month stints. They go here 6 months, there 7 months, but yet they keep on getting jobs. Why is that? Keyword bias. If keywords are missing, they may dislike you. I once applied for a recruiter position, and I recruited for every industry, every job. And they said, we don't like your resume. I asked why. They said, well, it's missing the words full cycle or sales. You didn't do sales recruiting. I said, but it says it's included that in every industry. Am I supposed to list every single industry? My, resume will be 20 pages long. Resume design bias. Is your resume beautiful? Is it plain? When I look at a designer sometimes, yeah, it's nice that they have a nice design resume, but it's not really needed. Some people are visual designers, but the resume is just plain paper. They don't want visual design. Some ATS systems won't even look at the design. So what's the point of making a nice resume? So there may be some bias on the resume. And those are a list of all the biases that I can think of. And what biases have you had while applying for jobs?